Hey, buddy. Sorry about that photo of me drinking coffee, but it's that kind of morning. It's Monday, May 10th, and this is my last semester as a college professor. Today was ESL 5A, and now it's getting very much close to the end. We're in the last 3 weeks of class, and I'm going to take off a day to go to see my daughter graduate from graduate school in San Antonio, and I'm excited about that. And the students don't know it yet because the less they know about what's going to happen in the future, the better for all of us, I think. By the way, I don't withhold that stuff. I just do it because if I say, I'm not going to be here on May 22nd, for example, they will all start asking the question, like, what day was that again? Was that next week? And then if they miss a class, then they'll tell me, well, I thought, you had told us, you know. So to avoid confusion, when it's something that's personal and doesn't really affect them in the sense that they don't have to know too much in advance, then I won't tell them, and they'll be excited. They'll be like, "Oh, they got a snow day, a holiday." By the way, this always reminds me that when I was a graduate student, whenever a teacher would, these are in the days before cell phones and internet, and you didn't get a message. You would go to the class, and if the teacher weren't there, either one, they would send somebody to tell you that they were not going to be in attendance, or they would write a note and leave it on the door. And when you got there at 4 o'clock or whatever time, and you realized suddenly you had three free hours because you aren't going to be sitting in a class faking that you had done the reading for that English class that day or that psychology class or whatever it was. But my friends would, my classmates would often say, "Oh, great, now I can go to the library and study." And I always said to them, "Don't go to the library and study. Go with me to a movie, and I will buy your ticket and buy you some popcorn." And of course, I had a little bit more money than they had because I was teaching, and some of them would do it, but usually they wouldn't. But I would. Anytime I got a free 3 hours, I would run to a movie theater because they were right across the street and see whatever was playing because it was like, oh, now I have a free day. Now, there were more imaginative things you could do. You could go bowling, or you could take a hike, or you could go to a museum. But, movies to me were like kind of the reward because, if I were tired, I could just lay back and sleep. And if I weren't, I'd get up and go. So, anyway, that was interesting. Oh, today's class, I started out. I'm a little bit strict in the mornings, especially on Mondays, because I don't know the temperature of the room, and I have to realize I have to like say, okay, I've got to move ahead here because we're almost at the end, and the quicker we move, the better it'll be for everybody. So I started out with passive voice. We're getting to the end of that chapter, and I'm very happy to be finished with that. And we use get plus an adjective or an adverb. And by the way, I cannot even really explain it. And I can't really explain very well the use of participles, past and present, as, adjectives, which one. It was a frightened girl, the girl, it was a frightening event, the girl was frightened. So active and passive has something to do with that. But, you know, I never had the patience to figure out that. And I'm not going to have the patience to figure it out this time because I taught it and I'm done with it. And maybe next year when I'm in Italy teaching or teaching online, I'll actually learn how to teach that point. But usually I just sort of say, repetition will get you to figure that one out. So that's kind of like a teacher kind of slough off. Not because it's hard to learn, but it's just, the explanations you get in books are not that clear, and I can't make it much clearer myself. So anyway, then we got into writing, and that's kind of like where I have to really kind of make them see that, they have to put some effort into writing a 5 paragraph academic essay. Now, I always go back to when I was a sophomore in university, and I wrote a paper for Mr. Conlon, Professor Conlon, in 18th century British lit novel, The Rise of the Novel. And I went to his office because I got a C minus on the original draft, and he said, "Well, where's your thesis statement?" And I said, "I don't know," and I didn't know anything about it. So once he showed me how to write a thesis statement, I wrote better papers from that time on. And then when I became a teacher, I realized that this is like the most important thing for people to learn, because if you can't write a clear thesis statement, then it's hard to write a clear academic essay. And so now my mission in life is to make sure that they can write a clear academic essay. By the way, they still can't, and I don't blame them. But at the same time, just as I struggled for several years to learn how to do it, they will also have to struggle to get there. But I take their introduction paragraph, make sure that they have a thesis statement, and then let them go on and write the topic sentences and body paragraphs. And it's a big challenge for them. Hopefully, it won't be so daunting for me that take me months to figure out how to grade it. I mean, I only got a few weeks left. But so we talked about that, and I was very severe, and I took some samples and I showed them, and then we read like a long 5 paragraph essay about why bees are in decline, and it's because of parasites, pesticides, and climate change. And that was a good example of how to write topic sentences and how to write an organized essay. So I'm glad we did that. And then we went on to write about, to read about the war between the classes. But I only spent about 10 or 15 minutes with that. So anyway, so that was it. We ended on a strong note. I made jokes about my daughter's choice of Jack. And I not that it's serious. I just made things. I was trying to say, well, like the parents in the book, I can be skeptical about my daughter's choices, etc. And then was that a good thing or a bad thing? And the university they said, no, no, you can't be so judgmental. You have to be accepting. And I am. I just wanted them to play with that idea and use the vocabulary. So, all in all, it was a good class, and I think we had a good time doing it. And I'm pretty happy with that. And we'll move on. So, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.